Hello Taurus, welcome to my channel. Thank you so much for joining me. It is a blessing and pleasure to be joining you today. Please do trust that whenever you have found yourself here, there are likely to be messages within the contents of this video for you. I would strongly encourage you to use your discernment. Take only what resonates with you and leave the rest for someone else. I just have to preface by reiterating how important it is for you to use your discernment with these messages. It feels as though there are many ways that this could be applicable, and there's going to need to be a certain level of transparency, of vulnerability, and of honesty with yourself about how this may be showing up. What first came through for you is the song We Will Rock You. And you've actually probably heard the original by Queen, but the version that came in for you is actually a cover, which I will link in the notes below if you want to check it out. What's really interesting about this song, which I did miss the first time around, but when I sat back down with your messages, I was shown very clearly the fact that this is a cover. It is unoriginal. It is inauthentic, which is fascinating considering the messages that followed. The word that I got coming in with this song is unimpressed. There's something or someone, Taurus, that feels phony, that feels inauthentic, that feels as though it may be masquerading as something else. And I've actually just heard not all that glitters is gold, so take that how it resonates with you, apply it as you feel necessary. But I've also got the word ungrounded or even chaotic, right? So there's something phony, inauthentic, something ungrounded, something that may be masquerading as something else, or something chaotic within your energetic field. The number 444 also came through for you, and I feel as though this number has come through really highlighting this desire for safety, security, and stability, and a need to trust your discernment, to trust your intuition, because it feels as though, your intuition is trying to provide you with protection regarding this phony, inauthentic energy and trying to bring in more of that safety, security, and stability that you're looking for. You may have been second guessing yourself about something, been indecisive about something, but finding yourself coming to the same conclusion each time that you consider whatever this is, right? Maybe you've prayed about it, maybe you've meditated on it, maybe you've pondered on it, journaled about it, whatever it may be, but it feels like regardless of the perspective that you're trying to look at whatever this is from, you keep finding yourself coming back to the same conclusion. And I've just got the word unsettling. There's something unsettling about whatever it is that you are mulling over, whatever it is you're trying to make a decision on. Maybe there's someone or a situation that is too much, if you will, right? Something that is exhausting your energy. I'm not exactly sure what this is for you, Taurus, but if this has to do with whatever it is you're considering, whatever decision you're trying to make, it feels like if trying to make a decision is already this exhausting, imagine what that might look like moving forward. Okay, so that might be significant, that might be very specific, but there's certainly this advisory, right, to be cautious about your energetic exchanges, the energy you allow into your space, who or what you give your energy to, right? So this can certainly be how you're entertaining yourself, TV, movies, music. This could be social media, whether that be posts or videos. This could be conversations you're having, spaces you're going into, things you're doing. There is a need to be very conscious about whether or not the things that you're giving your energy to are in alignment with you, are in alignment with what is good for you. I don't know if you could hear that, but someone just beeped their horn. So there's almost this like, are you paying attention, right? Are you listening? If something feels off, Taurus, it probably is. That's not to say that, again, you can't consider different perspectives. That's not to say that you can't delve inward and explore things a bit more. I mean, I would encourage that anyways. But if something arises within you, those feelings don't arise for no reason. True intuition is never wrong. And even something that is short-lived or brief can have lasting impacts. So there's this incredible encouragement to be selective, to establish or enforce healthy boundaries, to make sure that you are aligning with your intentions, that you are standing in your integrity in everything that you're doing. As a very simple example, if you're someone who's trying to, let's say, be more positive, if you're listening to music that's talking about negative things, if you're watching movies or TV shows that are, riddled with gossip or drama, or they're very polarizing, that is not aligning with your intentions. So I did get a phrase with this energy of being selective and establishing healthy boundaries, standing in your integrity, which was the whole truth and nothing but the truth. I don't know if this is something you're exploring or something you're trying to figure out, right? What is my truth? What do I believe? Who am I? What is true about me? But whatever that truth is for you, making decisions and doing things that align with that truth. I also got the song Trendsetter by Black Coast, which will be linked below for you as well. And the lyrics that came through from that song are select, never settles. So there is this very strong message, Taurus, to unapologetically raise the bar and set your standards high. Not just talking the talk, but walking the walk. And that goes for whatever it is that you're giving your energy to, or whoever you're giving your energy to, but also to yourself. And not wavering from that, no exceptions. So it's not just expecting that from others, but also from yourself, and making decisions accordingly if that is not adhered to. I'm very curious and eager to see what is going to come up in the cards for you. So let's get into it. Father, Mother, Life, Christ, Universe, Spirits, Guides, Angels, our cosmic team, our ancestors, our higher selves, what other messages are relevant for Taurus, please? Thank you. Thank you. Okay. One more, please. Thank you. All right. So to start, we have here trine, auspicious, positivity, luck. I get the feeling that, setting a certain standard or certain boundaries, these sorts of things, really trusting your intuition could lead to or align with, because I'm actually kind of seeing it like, drawing a line from one point of the triangle to another, okay? So it feels as though, right, trusting your intuition, being discerning, and having these high standards, having these strong boundaries could lead to something more positive, could lead to something more auspicious, lead to something that maybe you would even call a stroke of luck. Interesting too, because I'm being reminded of those lyrics like select never settles. It's one of those things that's seems very simple, right? It's like making the right decision leads to good things. It sounds overly simple. There's something about like connecting the dots. There's something about aligning with what is meant for you, leading to better things. We also have here for you air, expansive, intellectual, inquisitive. Yeah, right, making wise decisions, leading with wisdom over, let's say, emotions. I don't know what this is, but it feels like maybe leading with either emotions or leading with like a trigger, trauma wounding programming, which can mean a lot of things, by the way. It could be some kind of programming around living a certain lifestyle or achieving something or succeeding at something or, hitting a certain goal or things like this, right? It could be a lot of different things, but there's this feeling of leading from a place of wisdom and not just leading with emotions or with what's expected of you. There's something about having strong boundaries. There's something about having these high standards that feels as though it leads to more expansion, that leads to something greater. We have for you Uranus, revolution, invention, eccentricity. What's interesting about this card showing up is that Uranus is this card of individuality. And of course, as I've just read, it's revolution, right? It's doing things differently. It's doing what may seem odd or what may go against the grain or wouldn't be something that most people would do, right? It may seem very weird to make a certain decision. For example, okay, let's just say that you get offered this really well-paying job with really great benefits, but it's asking you to do something that doesn't sit well with you, that goes against your morals or your values. And in your heart of hearts, you're like, I can't take this job. Everyone around you may think you're crazy. They may ask you, what in the ever-loving God are you doing? They may look at you sideways and try to figure out what drugs you're on. Like, they may be very confused, very perplexed by that decision. But it's one that in your heart of hearts you must make, right? That's that level of individuality. That's that level of kind of like revolution, right? That's that Uranus energy going against the grain, not doing what's expected of you, but doing what's right for you, what you feel you should be doing. And fourth house, funny with the number 4, family roots, foundation, Cancer energy. Maybe there's something here to do with your family. Perhaps they have certain expectations of you. Perhaps you're trying to fulfill, certain expectations of your family, or maybe you have a family to think about and you're trying to make the decision that's best for all of you. I do find it really fascinating that, of course, that fourth house energy does have to do with foundation, simply because, as we talked about earlier, this need for like stability and safety and security. I do feel that perhaps that indecisiveness, that back and forth kind of energy that I'm picking up on, has to do with, something, maybe it seems too good to be true, and there's something about it that you're like, something just doesn't sit right with me about this. It looks really good on paper. It looks like it's going to be everything I've ever wanted, but something just doesn't feel right. Or again, maybe you're being asked to be someone you're not, or to do something that doesn't sit well with you. Remember, okay? Remember what I said earlier about how even something short-lived, or even something that seems brief, can have lasting impacts. So whatever this is for you, there is a need here to carefully consider, and to, again, kind of go with your gut, go with what your intuition is telling you, because there is a reason for that. If you keep praying about it and the answer you keep getting is no, but you keep trying anyways because, you want it to be right, there's a reason for these things. I mean, you have to do what's best for you, right? And you know what that is. But it really does feel here that maybe choosing something that doesn't feel right, despite your better judgment, maybe choosing something, choosing to align with something, or choosing to embark on something, against your better judgment, there's this feeling of, thinking about the long-term implications that can have. Because again, you have family roots and foundation here. And from a spiritual evolutionary perspective, like regarding your soul, when we align with things that are not true, when we choose things that, let's say, go against our integrity, that has implications, not just for us in this lifetime, but potentially in others as well. So this foundation, these roots that I'm picking up on, it's like, it's more than just whatever you're establishing in this life. Like, this can have lasting impacts over generations, over many lifetimes. And if you're someone who has children, for example, that's really important, because anybody can take the easy path. That's why it's easy. But it really requires a lot of courage and a lot of faith to stand very strongly in your morals and values and what is true. So I guess the real question here, Taurus, is like, what are you hoping to build? Right? What is the foundation that you are laying? What do you want that to look like? And how do you want that to evolve, both for your family and for yourself in future incarnations? Before we move forward, let's just take a look at the bottom of the deck here. So there's water, refreshing, mysterious, and fluid. It feels as though, you know, there's this element of, as it says here, mystery. You know, there's this not knowing but flowing anyways, you know, letting the water take you. I'm hearing the song Florence and the Machine, what the water gave me. Because, like, I let the water take me. I just feel as though, you know, from a very kind of earthly, worldly, material, physical perspective, perhaps one path seems solid, right? Seems like a no-brainer. But from a more spiritual, intuitive kind of space, it just doesn't seem like that. And so with the water here, right, because it's like, what's actually going on beneath the surface? Going with where you feel the water is taking you, though mysterious, could ultimately be refreshing, could ultimately be, you know, lucky, positive, expansive. What else wants to come through for Taurus, please? Thank you. One more, please. All right. I guess we're getting two. Okay, this is really interesting because I actually saw this card in a different position when I first sat down with the cards. So you have Treasure Island here, and on this card is a sea turtle with this treasure chest on its back. So this is the number 9. However, it's shown up in this protection position or in this reverse position. I do want to read from the guidebook for you about this card in this position, but I'm just going to be real here. The energy that I'm getting with it right now is essentially, like I was saying, is essentially this: not all that glitters is gold. Notice too, I mean, it's a sea turtle, right? So the bottom of the, or what would normally be the bottom of the card there, is water, which is now on top. Like, do you see what I'm saying? Like, now it's what's important. It's what needs that attention, is the water. There's the feeling of like chasing an empty treasure chest, or chasing something that isn't as valuable as you may think, or something along those lines, right? It's interesting that the water is now at the top of the card, really giving it this, I don't know if you want to call it authority, but giving it this level of importance. It's asking for attention. Let's see what the message is. Oh, very interesting. So it says, poverty consciousness and a sense of not enough cast a shadow on your path. These ideas and core beliefs come with a high cost. Do you really want to proclaim yourself a victim of disappointment and failed expectations? Are you avoiding success because you will grow so tall that others will want to cut you down? Or is it possible that you're caught in a fear that you will lose what you've acquired, so you hold on so tight that you miss the opportunities to expand? You are challenged to change the way you see the world and move from a perception of limitations to a perception of abundance. Take a risk, for you have nothing to lose except your confinement in a prison of your own making. Open the door and find the abundance waiting for you to claim it. The interesting thing about this, right, is this energy of expansion and poverty consciousness or lack consciousness, because it does feel as though, you know, maybe there's something that seems almost crazy to pass up, right? Especially if you're someone who maybe, you know, comes from more limited means, or maybe you come from a very hard background. You know, if something is there that's like, you could make so much money, but you have to give up this, and whatever this is for you, right? Fill in the blank. It's costly. Because what is the phrase I'm getting? I'll put it on the screen for you. I believe it comes from scripture, actually. But there's a phrase that's like, what is it for man to gain the world but lose his soul? And that's the energy that I'm picking up on here. This could be showing up in many different ways, right? It could be a job, for example, a means by which you can increase or seemingly create more security and stability for yourself or your family. But it could also be a relationship. It could also be a living situation. You know, there are many different things that this could be. There are many different ways that this could show up, where it looks like I said, one path could have these, what we might call from a very material, worldly perspective, good effects on your life. But from another perspective, from a soul perspective, from a truth perspective, maybe not so much, right? Again, you know what's best for you, okay? So do what you feel you must. But there's just something here about not going against your better judgment. You're kidding me. All that glitters. The number 16. I mean, and look, there on the top of that glittery gold is 2 masks. So like I was saying, right, like whatever it is that seems, not all is as it seems, right? There's something off. There's something phony. There's something masquerading as something else. And the messages that I got for you earlier regarding trusting your discernment and your intuition, and, you know, if something feels off, it probably is. That is really reiterated here. Wow, the fates, number 17 in the protection position. And here and now, the number 32. I mean, here's the thing, okay? The fates coming through, of course, is a card of fate or a card of karma. A card of, you know, knowing and understanding when you can change things and when you can't. And then, of course, we have here and now, which I don't know if you noticed, but has these two arrows, one pointing towards the past, one pointing towards the future. And of course, we have this little fairy here, or whatever she is, holding this banner that says, "You are here." And the way that this is coming through is whatever path you choose, here and now, will have karmic implications, for better or for worse. Perhaps things that you've experienced in your past have you worried about the future, right? Perhaps certain traumas, woundings, certain programming, whether that be societal, familial, cultural, religious, whatever it is, perhaps it has you very concerned. Perhaps it's putting you in a position where you feel as though, you should make a decision that doesn't sit right with you. But again, it's coming through so strongly that whatever it is you choose is going to have repercussions. I'm being reminded of, the law of cause and effect, or the justice card, right? Whatever you decide to do ripples out and can have certain repercussions in this lifetime or in another. So it's like, consider that as you continue your journey. And I wouldn't just consider that from a, material, physical, worldly perspective, but from a spiritual one. Think about things from the space of your heart. What is the cost, or what could the possible cost be of not standing in truth, not standing in integrity? Goodness sakes, what else would like to come through, please? What other messages for Taurus? Thank you. Thank you. Okay. One more, please. Two more. What's interesting about the fact that as I'm shuffling, I'm asking, for one more card, and I keep getting two. It's really bringing forward that Uranus energy, that going against the grain, that I do what I want kind of energy. I feel like that's just another means of confirming for you that it's not about doing what's expected of you. It's not about doing what others think is best for you, but about doing what's best for you. Oh, wow. So we do have the Knight of Wands showing up here, which again, it's like, I'm going to do what I want, right? But more importantly, it's another energy of this fearlessness. I mean, it can be an impulsive energy, which is coming through in two different ways. One of which says, don't be impulsive. Don't just make the decision that you think you need, right? But it's also coming through as taking a risk. Again, not doing what's expected of you, but doing what you feel is best for you. I'm hearing, you have to live with you for the rest of your life. And you are the only, by the way, the only person on the planet that has to do that. Even if you have children, they don't have to be a part of your life for your entire life. Even if you get married, right? It doesn't matter. You are the only person that is literally stuck with you for the rest of your life. And so whatever decisions you make, be sure you can live with them. Even if that means going against the grain, even if that means taking a risk, even if that means doing something that doesn't make sense to anyone else, because no one else has to live with it. Queen of Cups. So here's the thing about Queen of Cups. She feels everything. Okay? This is a spiritual, psychic energy. And as I said, she feels everything. Okay? I actually heard someone once say that the Queen of Cups informs the High Priestess, if that gives you any indication of how tapped in the Queen of Cups is. And she's sitting in water. Her eyes are closed. She's in a position of surrender. Let your intuition guide you. Let it lead you. It may take you to unexpected places. Things may not turn out the way that you would like them to, or you plan for them to. But that doesn't mean that they're wrong. King of Wands in the reverse position. You have to be the leader of your life. You have to be the king of your kingdom. And perhaps it's the fear of not knowing that must be overcome. There's a feeling with the Queen of Cups preceding the King of Wands that brings forth the energy again of that surrender, and maybe not pursuing, right? It's giving me divine feminine versus shadow masculine vibes, right? Where divine feminine, for example, is going to be receptive, is going to flow, is going to allow, versus the shadow masculine, which is trying to force, trying to control. The other thing I want to point out is, there's that lion there on the King of Wands and this Leo energy. Maybe you have Leo in your chart, but it's giving me this abandonment of heart. Leo is the heart, and leading with this quiet strength, having this courage. So there's this, don't abandon your heart. Not all leadership is loud. Three of Cups in the reverse as well. Whatever this is, Taurus, it really does feel as though choosing to go against the grain, choosing whatever this is, whatever decision you're faced with, it does feel like it could pull you away from certain environments or situations that you've gotten comfortable in. Okay, because the Three of Cups in the upright can be this happy energy. It can be one of, friendship and community and feeling like you're supported. And here it's showing up again in the reverse position, which would be indicative of maybe not having that support. There's the feeling of isolation with the Three of Cups in the reverse. There's a feeling of, I believe there's also something here about people gossiping or people turning against you and talking behind your back type of energy, right? Especially if especially with people who maybe you felt closest to or you felt would have your back, which is really interesting because you have the Six of Cups and the Six of Swords. So this could be family members or people you've grown up with, or again, people that you've gotten very close to, people you've spent a lot of time with. And so there could be a really big fear around kind of, leaving that behind or trying to kind of cling to the past. Six of Swords in this position does represent kind of baggage of being unable to let go. Because the Six of Swords in the upright, essentially she leaves everything behind. She's starting new. And here it's in the reverse. So it's, kind of clinging to things, being unable to let go, struggling to move forward. And for example, if the Six of Cups was in the reverse, there would be this energy of independence, this energy of kind of straying away from the path that you've known. But here it's more kind of clinging to it. It's more adhering to it, or perhaps there's a fear around moving away from it. I'm hearing things like, this is all I know, this is how it's always been. And again, there's a caution, to not lead with emotion. I'm not saying that it's bad to have a level of love or respect or comfort with environments or people or what have you, that you've experienced. I'm not saying that you should be ashamed or, anything like that. But again, Knight of Wands, Queen of Cups, it's going against the grain and surrendering. The bottom of the deck is the Eight of Pentacles. So really, this is essentially the work you put in to what you're passionate about, to what means something to you. This is putting your heart and your soul, putting everything you are into something else, into something that you're creating or building, or whatever it is, something meaningful to you. If you look here, there are the moon phases there at the top of the card, which is indicative of two things. One being time passing, right? One being dedicated. The other being that you're so passionate, you love what you're doing so much that it doesn't feel like any time has passed, that the time just seems to fly by. And it's kind of honing in on your skills and refining your skills. What's interesting about this now, Taurus, is that there's this message coming through of Perhaps there's something that you are really passionate about, that you really love to do, that makes you feel good about what you're doing, that you kind of lose time doing. It's something that you love with all your heart and love with all your soul, right? That you put everything into. Maybe there's something for you like that. And maybe there's also, on the other hand, something that is not that, but could offer you what you would, but could offer what we would call, you know, financial stability or security, physical, worldly, material security or stability. Because it just kind of feels like on one hand is something that is so meaningful, and on the other hand is something that maybe isn't. Thank you. Oh, look at that. The law of immortality. Time is only of the essence for your full expression. And the law of cause and effect. Change your beliefs, change your life. I mean, so like I was saying earlier, okay, law of immortality, law of cause and effect. There's this energy of whatever you do, truly, whatever you do could have lasting implications. You may believe that the only way to create safety, security, and stability is to abandon your passions, is to abandon your morals and your values, and to do what is expected of you, whatever that looks like. Okay, again, it could be a job, a relationship, a living situation, etc., 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 whatever it is. But choosing to do something that deprives you of what you love and what you're passionate about and what is meaningful to you, what is true for you, has its consequences, has its repercussions. And is it worth it to you to have to pay that price? Being mindful of the fact that it may not show up in this lifetime. It may show up in another. I'm being reminded with this law of cause and effect. If you look at the card there, and I don't know if you've ever watched the Harry Potter movies, if not, maybe you want to skip, you know, if you don't want spoilers, but I'm being reminded of the Elder Wand and how in the hands of one, it can create chaos and turmoil and death. And in the hands of another, it can be used for good. You know, so it's like, pick your path. Change your beliefs, change your life. Because what may seem like the only option is only made true by what you believe. Final messages, please. That one, thank you. Thank you. One more, please. Thank you. Okay. So you have here higher heart activation, dropping shields, divine love, your heart is healed. You have order of Melchizedek, embraced by light, mission uncovered, don't give up. And ancestral realm, karmic release, healing the lineage and boundaries. I'm very drawn to the fact that there's this energy of divine love and being embraced by light, along with this energy of boundaries, because there could be something, again, where you're going against what maybe family or society, etc., would expect. And there's the feeling of, perhaps a fear of being isolated, a fear of leaving behind what you've known. And the message that's coming through very strongly is, even if that's a position that you may find yourself in, you are never not loved. You're never not embraced. You're never not held, even if it may seem that way. And to trust your heart, to trust that God, or whatever it is you may refer to it as, loves you, is not going to lead you astray, and is going to reveal, even if only one step at a time, the path that is best for you. Now, whether or not you follow that, whether or not you accept that, you embrace that, is up to you. It says here, mission uncovered, don't give up, followed by karmic release, healing the lineage, boundaries. While it may not seem like it right now, the decisions you are faced with, as I've shared earlier, can have these lasting implications, right? It can affect the lineage. It can affect generations that follow you. And so higher heart activation says, think about this from a higher heart perspective, right? Perhaps consider it not just from this lifetime and how you have to live it, but how the choices that you make may impact the generations that follow, and what that might mean for them. And if you are, for example, healing the lineage, breaking, generational curses, as it were, if you're deciding that you're going to carve your own path, it's like, don't give up. Don't just fold because the world or other people or whatever it is tell you that you should. Because again, these boundaries that you create, these standards that you have for yourself, could potentially heal the lineage. You could be the one right? Again, there's that energy of, this is what I've known, this is how it's always been, or whatever it is, right? Fill in the blank. And maybe it stops with you. Maybe you're the one that chooses a different path. Maybe you're the one that makes your own way. Maybe you're the one that opens the door. Okay? Maybe you're the one that opens the door for those that follow you to do something different, to experience life in a different way. I know that the world and its expectations of you can feel very heavy. That societal rules, family rules, cultural rules, religious rules, etc., 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 can feel very heavy. But now is the time for you, Taurus, to lay your own foundation, to plant your own seeds, to see value in more than just what you can hold with your hands or see with your eyes. You might not only change your life, but change the lives of those that follow you. This has been intense, to say the least. So if you are still here, I want to thank you so very much for joining me. It's been an honor to be here with you. I pray that something here has resonated for you, has provided some kind of value, confirmation, or validation for you. I know that this takes a tremendous amount of courage, but know that you have everything you need to triumph, to grow, to expand, and to evolve. Take care of your strong, courageous, beautiful soul. Peace be with you and within you, and I hope to see you in another chat. Bye.